I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges.
The home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent. And
the saga of Doton's supermayor, Tiffany Henyard, continues, and it seems that circumstances are becoming more chaotic, from confronting eviction to conducting township meetings that resemble a reality television program. Henyard's leadership has left both citizens and trustees utterly exasperated. Let us examine the recent turmoil surrounding Henyard, where upheaval and controversy have been the only constants during her tenure.
We knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. But like I said, you have to
envision attending a township meeting, anticipating the customary bureaucratic exchanges and discussions regarding local matters. However, upon arrival, you encounter what can only be characterized as a live-action catastrophe. Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, already embroiled in legal difficulties concerning unpaid rent, opted to assert her control over the township, resulting in an utter debacle.
Making a late appearance at the Dolton Village Board meeting this evening. That meeting was being held at the Park District building since Village Hall cannot legally accommodate the crowd.
The conference begins up with tensions already over the roof. Tiffany Henyard, accused of exploiting her position for personal advantage and allegedly squandering public monies, isn't exactly on good terms with her fellow trustees, and it shows trustee Kiana Caro attempts to join the meeting by phone, which seems like a reasonable request. Wrong, Henyard, in a classic power move, refuses to accommodate her. She dismisses Kay's attempt to dial in, saying, "If you haven't been here, you should have shown up to the board meeting to take care of business." This sets the tone for the entire meeting. Henyard isn't there to collaborate or play nice. She's there to assert her dominance, and when things don't go her way, she shuts them down just like she did with Caro. It's classic Henyard petty dictatorial and disdainful of anybody who tries to confront her.
Body, is it the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts.
The recent Dolton Village meeting wasn't just another episode of Mayor Henyard flexing her power over the trustees. It was supposed to address important community matters. On the agenda, approving minutes from the last meeting and, more significantly, discussing a proposed tax refund for residents. This wasn't just any refund, it was a massive $2 million tax break meant to provide financial relief to Dolton residents. You'd think an issue this important would unite local leaders, encouraging them to put aside their political differences for the good of the community. But under Henyard's leadership, cooperation seems impossible. Instead of a productive discussion, the meeting quickly devolved into chaos. Frustrated by Henyard's antics, trustee Chris Gonzalez finally reached his breaking point. Rather than continue engaging in what he saw as a futile exercise, he walked out. His departure meant there was no longer a quorum, effectively shutting down the meeting. No quorum meant no vote, and no vote meant no tax refund for the people of Dolton. Predictably, Henyard refused to take responsibility, shifting the blame onto Gonzalez and the other trustees. She accused them of abandoning their duties and not caring about the community's needs. But let's be real. How can anyone get meaningful work done when Henyard runs the board like her personal kingdom? The residents of Dolton deserve that tax break, but political dysfunction robbed them of it. Rather than fostering collaboration, Henyard's leadership continues to drive division, making it nearly impossible for real progress to be made. Until accountability is prioritized over power plays, it's the people of Dolton who will keep paying the price.
Finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany.
At this point, it's hard to keep track of all the controversies surrounding Mayor Henyard, but let's start with one of the more absurd moments from the latest village meeting. In the middle of discussions, Henyard suddenly shifted focus, questioning why a certain vendor hadn't been paid. And what was this urgent expense for? T-shirts. Yes, in a meeting that was supposed to address serious financial matters for the residents of Dolton, Henyard was concerned about unpaid bills for shirts. But let's not forget, while this meeting was unfolding, Henyard was also dealing with some serious personal drama. The so-called supermayor is now facing eviction from her home after allegedly failing to pay rent for months. Her landlord, Janetta Hull, who once considered Henyard a friend, has had enough. According to Hull, Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, have been living in her property rent-free since August, racking up over $5,000 in unpaid rent. What makes this situation even more outrageous is that Woods isn't exactly struggling financially. In fact, he brings in a hefty salary working for the township. Combined, Henyard and Woods reportedly earn over $300,000 in taxpayer-funded salaries. Yet somehow, they still can't manage to pay their rent on time. And if that wasn't bad enough, Hull claims that instead of making things right, Henyard and Woods took it a step further by changing the locks on the property, effectively locking her out of her own house. Imagine renting your home to the mayor, only for her to stop paying rent and then prevent you from accessing your own property. Hull, understandably frustrated, has begun the legal process to evict the couple. She summed up her disappointment by pointing out that, as mayor, Henyard should be setting an example. A mayor, you would think they would uphold positive citizen standards. You don't see that with these people. They just feel like they can do whatever they want. She said. And that seems to be the pattern with Henyard. Whether it's running village meetings like her personal stage, or allegedly refusing to pay rent while collecting a six-figure salary, she continues to act as if the rules don't apply to her. But with legal troubles mounting and community frustration at an all-time high, her days of unchecked power may be coming to an end.
Would make a one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon. And the main thing is,
while Mayor Henyard spends her time playing dictator at township meetings, she's also facing some serious personal and legal troubles. Not only is she on the verge of being kicked out of her home for unpaid rent, but she's also under federal investigation for her questionable spending habits. In an effort to uncover the truth about Dolton's financial crisis, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was brought in to conduct an investigation. What she found was nothing short of shocking. Back in 2022, Dolton's general fund had a balance of over $5 million. By May 2024, that number had plummeted, leaving the village with a staggering deficit of $365 million. How does a town go from a multi-million-dollar surplus to a financial catastrophe in just 2 years? Lightfoot's investigation points to Henyard's reckless spending. Records show that she has been using Dolton's credit card for personal shopping sprees at Amazon, Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair Spamachari, among other retailers. One particularly outrageous discovery: in January 2023, Henyard spent $43,000 in a single day on Amazon. What exactly was she buying? No one knows, because she refuses to explain. But that's not all. Henyard has also reportedly used taxpayer money to fund extravagant trips. These weren't modest business trips, far from it. She has been spotted staying at luxury hotels like the Four Seasons in Atlanta and the Mall Marriott Marquis in New York City. And while she insists these trips were for the people, the reality is that Dolton residents are seeing no real benefit from their mayor jet-setting to first-class accommodations while their town spirals deeper into financial ruin. Instead of addressing the crisis, Henyard continues to wield her power at meetings, shutting down opposition and deflecting blame. Meanwhile, the village she was elected to serve is drowning in debt, and the people of Dolton are left wondering how much longer this can continue. With a federal investigation now in motion, Henyard may soon have to answer for her actions. But for the residents struggling under her leadership, accountability can't come soon enough.
Investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing.
Mayor Henyard's reckless spending habits are even more egregious when considering Dolton's dire financial state. The village isn't just dipping into its reserves, it's hemorrhaging money. Vendors who have provided essential services haven't been paid for months, resulting in over $6 million in outstanding checks. To make matters worse, some village employees now fear they may not receive their paychecks in the coming weeks. Henyard's lavish expenditures of public funds meant to serve the people of Dolton, are an insult to taxpayers. And it's not just shopping sprees and luxury travel. Her financial mismanagement extends to law enforcement payrolls as well. An investigation by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot uncovered severe misuse of police resources. 2 officers, each earning $87,900 and $73,500 in base salaries, racked up significant overtime pay. The reason? Henyard has been using Dolton police officers as her personal security detail, a practice that not only drains village funds, but also removes officers from active duty, further reducing police presence in a community already struggling. With rising crime, while Henyard enjoys her taxpayer-funded security, Dolton streets are becoming more dangerous. the very residents footing the bill for her protection are left with fewer officers patrolling their neighborhoods. This stark contrast has not gone unnoticed. Critics argue that her actions show a clear prioritization of her own comfort and power over public safety. Meanwhile, she continues to justify these expenses, insisting they are necessary for building relationships and attracting investment to the village. But how many meaningful relationships have been built with first-class flights? How much actual investment has Dolton received in exchange for her stays at the Four Seasons in Atlanta or the Marriott Marquis in New York City? The numbers don't lie. Dolton isn't prospering under Henyard's leadership. It's deteriorating. Infrastructure is crumbling, basic services are being cut, and the village is drowning in debt. A recent water main break, which left residents without clean water, is a prime example. Instead of taking responsibility, Henyard blamed budget cuts that she herself helped create through mismanagement and unchecked spending. The frustration among residents is palpable. What was once quiet discontent has transformed into public outrage, with many now openly calling for her resignation. Some are even labeling her the worst mayor in America. One furious resident commented on a YouTube video, "Arrest this idiot already." Another stated, "She is the worst enemy of the residents, the very worst by a mile." And yet, Henyard remains undeterred. Rather than stepping back or acknowledging the community's concerns, she is doubling down, launching a re-election campaign and framing herself as the victim of a political smear campaign. In a bold Facebook post announcing her bid for a second term, Henyard wrote, "They know the truth, and I am committed and determined to continue fighting for my village for the next 4 years." This declaration comes despite the mounting accusations against her and ongoing investigations into her conduct. Let's not forget the Parstamai federal subpoenas. Earlier this year, both Dolton and Thornton Township, where Henyard also serves as supervisor, were hit with federal subpoenas as part of an investigation into her spending practices. Even her political committee and charity organization are now under scrutiny. Yet, instead of addressing the serious allegations or cooperating with investigators, Henyard has taken an authoritarian approach to silence her critics. During a recent Facebook Live rant, she hinted at seeking the arrest of individuals she accused of engaging in a power and money grab. While she didn't name names or provide specifics, the message was clear: cross Henyard and you will face consequences. This tactic, using intimidation and threats to suppress opposition, is straight out of the dictator playbook. Henyard seems to believe she is untouchable, immune to the very laws she is accused of breaking. But how much longer can she sustain this approach? Meanwhile, it is the residents of Dolton who continue to pay the price. The village is now in a $365 million deficit, basic services are being cut, and infrastructure is failing. The financial collapse of Dolton is happening in real time, yet Henyard's priority remains holding on to power at all costs. With her re-election campaign officially underway, one thing is certain: the chaos surrounding Henyard is far from over. The investigations, the scandals, and the rising public fury will only intensify in the months ahead. Whether she succeeds in her bid for a second term or finally faces accountability remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the people of Dolton have had enough.
Been reporting on questionable spending by a South suburban politician named Tiffany Henyard, but we only knew.
So, what do you think? Will Henyard manage to cling to her post despite the rising issues, or will the people of Dolton ultimately reach their breaking point? And what about the federal probe? Will it bring serious repercussions for Henyard, or will she continue to dodge responsibility? Let us know your opinions in the comments below. Remember, no matter how much Henyard promotes herself as the super mayor, it's the inhabitants that have the actual power in selecting the destiny of their village.